This is where it happened. Crew member Dave Foster, on board all alone about 8 years ago, decided that he wanted to have a look in this bathroom. He wanted to see some of the fancy wallpaper that was put on here probably 40 years ago. What happened next scared Dave so bad that he didn't want to spend any time alone aboard this vessel. A lot of people ask me, is the Aurora haunted? Have you seen anything crazy on board that would lead you to believe that this vessel is a haunted ship? Personally, not really. I've had a couple of strange things happen to me in the past, things that I can't explain, but I don't chalk them up to being ghost stories. Tomorrow's Halloween, and this is the Halloween edition of the Aurora Restoration Project.
This is my new project. This is the hatch that they use to bring larger stuff into the ship that they couldn't fit through the doorways. And we're gonna be taking this back to new again. And you know, I have a little bit of a feeling about this because this kind of looks like the patina they actually try to go for those vintage like 50s step side trucks. But that's not the vibe we're going for here. We're going for restoration, right? So we're trying to get this back to new. So I'm gonna be sanding this down, getting all of this old paint off and this rust, and we're going to be repainting this back like new. Yeah, there's portals in the top that allow light to the room underneath, which is a larger crew bathroom. And these bars here are to protect these windows. And we'll be cutting these bars off and refabbing bars to put in their places. So it basically looks new again. But that's what I'm gonna be working on. We're gonna take this hatch back to new. Clearly, people have added stuff to this ship along the way through the years. This, I don't even know what this was, but obviously they've added it for some reason and cut some kind of weird hole in it with some kind of torch. We already cut this piece of metal off. This was a dryer vent going back to the crew's bathroom below, which we don't need anymore, and it just makes it look ugly. We're going to take all of the ugly off of this and we're gonna clean it up and we're going to paint it and it's gonna look like new again. It's gonna be awesome. Let's get to work.
So welcome back. I'm on the foredeck of the Aurora and I have some weatherproofing to do up here. We have a few holes in the deck and we have this thing that actually Shane started on, but there's a few things on here that are going to need my special attention before he can move forward and finish this project. So today I'm going to be welding some stuff up on here and figuring out exactly how we're going to deal with all of the portholes that are missing. For years, these holes went uncovered. They just sat there and the rain went into the ship, rusted up a bunch of stuff down below and destroyed the whole entire room that's right below this area right here that we're working on, right? And it's a pretty big room. It was like a crew bathroom. What seems to be missing is originally these things would have had a piece of glass that fit onto them like this. And then they would have had a smaller version of this thing that would have fit over that, and they would have bolted this down. And that would have held this thing in for years, and it would have been a nice piece of glass. This is plexiglass, but I guess it works for what we need now. My biggest problem is I don't really know what these are called. Are they called portholes? Are they called ports? Are they called port windows? I have no idea, but I can't find these things anywhere. And we need 11 of these things in order to actually make this work. This door is going to be about 80% of my attention today. It needs some cutting and fabricating, and we need to put it back to working order again. So there's 3 doors on this unit. These 2 on the end are in pretty decent condition. Shane did quite a bit of work to them, and he's still got quite a bit of work to go on them. But this one actually needs some pieces cut out and fabricated, welded back in. So that's what I'm going to work on today, getting this kind of dealt with so that Shane can move forward on his preparation of this thing. And this is going to look fantastic when it's finished, but for now our goal is to get it rain proof, so if it rains it just doesn't dump into the ship. So here's the issues that we have with this door. These things probably have not moved in 30 years. Is it worth it to fix these guys? I don't know yet. That's what we're going to determine right now. But I do need to cut out this piece of metal right here and put in another piece of metal that doesn't have a bunch of holes in it and isn't really thin. I don't know how this happened, but we got to fix it. And it's the same on the other side. So the challenge is this guy right here was put in so that they could put a bolt in here and hold the door open to get ventilation. And they obviously welded this thing in, but it's bent. And when they went to close this thing, it bent the metal right here, and it in turn bent this whole thing. So I need to cut a slice or 2 in here, bend this metal back and straighten it out. And then I need to cut away this metal that's right here and replace it with new metal. It gets a little more complicated because we have a hinge right here. So I'm gonna have to shave around the hinge and fabricate like a whole new piece and weld it right to the hinge. So this is gonna be a little bit more complicated, but really nothing that bad. If you look close, there's there's so much rust that formed around these things that we can't break them loose. Each one of these things I've stuck a cheater bar on, and I tried to break them loose. But what happens is these guys just wind up bending. They don't break loose. So the only way I think I'm gonna get around doing this, I'm gonna have to open up the door, take these nuts off, and then try to smash these bolts back through. And I don't know how much rust is in this thing, so I don't even know if we're actually gonna be able to pull this off, or if it's better just to leave them as they are and don't mess with them. I would say about 1/4 of my week is dedicated to fabricating, cutting out old pieces and putting in new pieces. This ship has no lack of areas that require fabrication. I'm guessing that on an average I go through maybe 20 or 30 cutting wheels every week. This is definitely one of the most time-consuming processes aboard this ship. It's also one of the most needed for weatherproofing. We can't have water intruding into the ship and rusting the ship from the inside out. This hinge is becoming one of the most biggest challenges of this project because I can't fit the wheel in there correctly. There it is. Now that we got these pieces out, we're going to take them up to the table and we're going to fabricate new ones using these ones as templates. The only piece of metal I could find on board with the same thickness was also the rustiest piece of metal that we had on board as a piece of scrap. I was actually going to take this piece to the dump, but I'm kind of glad that I saved it because now it's going to get a second life. Once I cut these out, I'm going to have to grind on these for a while in order to get them to fit just perfect. It's not going to be an easy process by any means. Definitely one of my favorite tools aboard this ship is the plasma cutter. I have a couple of them. I have this little 110 version that doesn't require an air compressor, and this one takes a couple of passes to get through the metal. It's not that great of a unit, but it's a lot better than powering up the large plasma cutter. I think the best thing to do right now would be to break out the cutting wheel again. This thing seems to be the most accurate and it's going to be the easiest way to cut out these lines. One of the longest and the most boring processes is to clean these things up and get them ready to install. But once I get them down below, I'm going to have to clean them up again and resize them using the grinder. Now I'm going to spend about a half an hour to 45 minutes just cleaning this lid up. There's so much old paint and rust that I need to grind off in order to install these pieces in order to get the welds to stick. Now it's time to see if our piece is actually going to fit. And I didn't figure it was going to fit the first time around. We're going to have to grind it and actually finesse this thing in. Well, I think I've done enough grinding. I think that this piece is going to fit perfect right now. It's time to break out the welder and get this sucker tacked in so that we can move to the other side. This thing should be finished in no time. The idea is to grind off these welds to make it look like this piece was never missing. Just need to finish welding up the back, and then I think our project is finished. I just need to do a little bit more grinding and flap disking on the other side, and then we can call our welding complete. Now I have a special grinding disc just for this task. A few minutes of grinding, and these things look like they were never out. And finally my favorite part. I get to clean these things up with the flap disc and get it ready for Shane to take over. So I think that that's about it. I'm going to leave the rest of this thing for Shane, and in the next couple of weeks it should just be dialed in. Hopefully we can find the windows for it. That's kind of a big thing. So I'm looking forward to finishing this thing off and making it look exactly how it used to look when it was brand new. This is our setup. This is what we're going to do. We caught wind yesterday that the documentary film team wanted to come and film Dave do his explanation of his ghost story that happened in this room. Dave was poking his head through the door, looking at some of the interesting, crazy wallpaper that's actually in this room, and the door closed on him, and he was on board all by himself, scared the hell out of him. It took him months and months, and actually probably more like years, in order for him to recover from that. He did not want to come on board by himself ever again, and he certainly doesn't want to come down here. You know, when we heard about this, we decided almost instantly that we were going to go buy some fishing line and make something happen. Give Dave a little bit more credibility to his story to the documentary film team that was filming. So we went ahead and secured this 50-pound test line to the door, and we ran it out the porthole, run it up onto the deck. When we give Jen the signal, she's going to go ahead and pull the string. I don't discredit what Dave's seen, but If you knew a day in advance, what would you do? So,
Hopefully he still likes us after this video.
getting ready to get Dave now.
Or even he's going to come back and haunt me again. So I took this door open like this, and I was looking in here, and it was dark as I was looking through, and I was like, it was all cobwebby, like much like it is right now, and I was trying to focus my eyes and see, you know, well, what's back there, you know, what is this? And then, I'm not fucking kidding. Did you just see that move?
I heard it.
Look, get your camera in there. That's where you need to film. Did you just see that?
I heard it.
That whole door just moved. Now there is some wind there, so, I mean, who knows? But that's a door. You could stand here all day, and that does not around down here. There is a porthole, or there's a little breeze in there. On that day, that nothing was moving, I stuck my head in here, and this wooden door was just like it is now. Okay, I had my head in. I didn't even want to do it, but this door, I was looking. See, okay. Well, that was probably the wind.
Oh yeah, I can see you kind of breathing.
But, you know, bad timing wind, okay? If that's what it is. This door, not moving. It doesn't really move that much, unless someone goes in there. So I stuck my head in here, and this door just closed on my face. And it's not just gonna close by itself. It closed on my face, and I got this really terrible feeling, and it totally freaked me out. I started crying. I had tears like coming down my eyes, and I backed up the stairs and went up to my art studio and sat down. I was just like all jacked up with the adrenaline, and as I was back, I mean, it did not feel nice. It was like, I don't want to say evil, but it was definitely a negative thing, and I could feel like the whole energy in the room or something. But this door, it's not going to just move by itself, even with the wind. It's not. There was no cats or dogs or anything behind it. It just closed on my face. And it didn't close, like I pulled that. It was slower. It just went right on my face. And anyways, so that freaked me out. I got upstairs. I sat down in my art studio. Upstairs in the lounge, there's a positive bye-bye. And yeah, it wasn't.
So the orange door?
No, this was the first door many years ago that closed on my face. This wooden door here. When I was just telling the other,
What? What?
just closed on me.
On its own?
Yes.
Well, there's no door on this one.
Yeah, it was that door you just touched.
This one?
Yeah, it was just like that, and it blew open.
Well, there ain't enough wind in here to.
I know.
And it's pretty stiff door too.
Right. You stick it halfway, and it stays there.
Yeah.
And it banged. You probably had that on.
Well, let's do this. We're gonna set this thing parallel, just like that.
What happened, David?
Right now?
Yeah.
This door, when I started telling him, closed on me and hit me in the back. I swear. This is just not.
So
I
it's
mean,
the third time?
it's now the third time. And you could stand here all day and watch that door, and it's not going to move. But for some reason, you go in there and start talking, and something bad's happening.